It's finally over. The saga that we have been eagerly anticipating to take flight and soar high. Because when it comes to this player, he was never as good as he could have been, and I think a lot of fans, especially of the Detroit Red Wings, could be seen as very disappointed with that. I mean, it was 6 years ago. We have had time to close up those wounds, get some stitches, and move on emotionally. But today, we are talking about a guy that has proven himself to being maybe one of the biggest busts in Detroit Red Wings history. It's Filip Zadina, because he signed a contract today. Take a look at this. NHL striker Filip Zadina joins HC Davos in the Swiss Hockey League. Take a look at this article on the Davos website. HC Davos is pleased to announce the signing of Czech striker Filip Zadina. The talented attacker signs a 2-year contract with HC Davos and strengthens Davos' offense for the upcoming year. Filip Zadina, born on November 27, 1999 in Pardubice, Czech Republic, is considered one of the most promising talents of his country. At the age of 18, he was selected 6th overall in the first round of the 2018 draft by the Detroit Red Wings. This was after he had attracted attention at the U20 World Championships with 7 goals in 7 games. That's the World Juniors. Zadina came through the youth divisions of HC Pardubice and later moved on to the CHL, where he played for the Halifax Mooseheads in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and proved his offensive threat with 94 points in 66 games. In the NHL, Zadina played a total of 262 games for the Detroit Red Wings and San Jose Sharks, scoring 41 goals and collecting 50 assists. GM Jan Alston of the signing of Filip Zadina said, "Despite his young age, Filip brings a lot of experience and offensive qualities. He is still very young and has not yet reached his full potential. Filip will be one of 7 foreign players in the squad. This will give the coaching staff more options to put the best team on the ice in every game." Filip Zadina signs a 2-year contract with HC Davos. With his signing, Davos hopes to gain additional depth and quality in their attacking game. So, pretty vanilla article, pretty standard conversation here. They're not saying anything new. We kind of recognize all these things about Zadina already. But what I wanted to talk about was a particular comment made on the Detroit Red Wings subreddit after this Zadina contract was signed. Because it's no secret that Filip Zadina was kind of floating around the NHL market for a little bit. We had made the video a few days ago talking about how the Avalanche, the Leafs, and the Canadiens were apparently interested in him, and they wanted to maybe sign him to a PTO, and that was going to be an option. You know, I thought it was very funny seeing Montreal linked to Filip Zadina after all the drama that had occurred back in 2018. But one of the comments on the Detroit Red Wings subreddit goes out there and says this. This is what CD23 Toll said. "I'm surprised that Filip Zadina didn't sign with his dance team, but this pretty much seals him as the biggest bust in modern Wings history. He could never figure out how to not hit a goalie square in the chest at the NHL level or flash any level of playmaking." And that is something that I think may go down in infamy as Filip Zadina's career in the NHL comes to a close. It's kind of crazy because when Filip Zadina was draft eligible, there was this idea floating around, the expectation, the ceiling, the potential, the hype. It was all like, hey, this guy could become, let's say, a 35, 40 goal scorer at the NHL level. And he could add on, let's say, 35 or 40 assists. And this will put him in a territory of being just one of these elite guys. You want to have a trigger man? You want to have a guy who could put the puck in left, right, and center? Well, Filip Zadina was doing that in the CHL. He did that at the World Juniors as an underage, undrafted player. And so that's where a lot of that hype came from. And as we've been talking about in all these videos, there was a moment in time in around December of 2017, January 2018, where people were debating whether or not Zadina could go second behind Dahlin and above Andrei Svechnikov, let alone the fact that Filip Zadina already went over some guys that are pretty notable nowadays anyway. Quinn Hughes went right after Filip Zadina in the 7th overall spot. Evan Bouchard, Noah Dobson, all went after as well. Then there were the guys that were taken right above Filip Zadina. There were only 5 of them, but you could remember the draft order here. Dahlin, Svechnikov, Kotkaniemi, Brady Tkachuk, Barrett Hayton, and then Zadina. The 2 centers were reaches, and that's kind of why Zadina slipped over to 6th overall in the first place, but still, this is the draft picture of a draft that I'm so familiar with and that I just absolutely cannot shut up about. And for the Detroit Red Wings, I remember it was seen as a really big steal when Filip Zadina dropped. And I was kind of saying, you know, like, this is going to be great for the Red Wings. This is going to be a really great addition. He's going to go well with Larkin. He's going to go well with Rasmussen. It's just, for some reason, he was never able to develop his NHL projectability. He never developed the skills to be consistent as an NHL point producer. He was all right defensively. I mean, a lot of what he had learned was off the puck and on the boards and in the neutral zone, and that was good. You know, it was good to see him round out the rest of his game. But you drafted him 6th overall to score points, and he just didn't score points. So, for a lot of Detroit Red Wings fans, when Filip Zadina left money on the table to leave Detroit last offseason, this was seen by many as a last-ditch, one-more-try kind of effort. He went to San Jose, the worst team in the NHL, he got some significant playing time, but he only scored himself 13 goals and 25 total points. That's not bad by any means, but for a guy like Filip Zadina, as we had talked about a few videos ago, I feel like because of this guy's potential in the past, because of his reputation as a top prospect in 2018, because he was seen as someone who should have been capable of more than what he is right now, he was always going to be doomed because of those expectations, because of the blanket of weight that his draft position held. And sure, a 20-whatever point guy, 13-goal guy on the San Jose Sharks, that's not a bum. Like, that's an NHL player at the very least. Because Filip Zadina was supposed to be so much better, I could understand why there's a little bit of disappointment there and why he's already deciding, hey, I mean, the NHL may not be for me. I'll just go over to Davos, I'll play in the Swiss League, and I'll be in a position to absolutely dominate because, you know, these European leagues, if you're a guy with a good shot, if you have NHL point-producing ability, even to a small capacity, you can succeed pretty well in these European leagues. I mean, the KHL has been dominated by guys like Jordan Weal and Nikolai Goldobin and Reed Boucher for a while now, so I have no doubt that Filip Zadina is probably going to be fine suiting up for HC Davos in the Swiss League. He'll probably find a way to be one of the top point producers and goal scorers in the league, so good for him, right? We'd prefer to see him have a good hockey playing career than not. And especially in Switzerland, I mean, if there's anybody going out there with a whole bunch of money, millions of dollars, he's got NHL salary stored up in his bank account, going over to Switzerland is certainly not one of the worst things you can do. It's a beautiful country. Expensive as all hell, yes. I mean, just the cost of food and water bottles and everything else in Switzerland is really, really high. But if you're making millions of dollars, you're a pro athlete, you should be fine. So, Filip Zadina, it seems like the saga has officially come to an end. I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is he the biggest bust in Detroit modern Red Wings history? I know we're just kind of stealing from the Reddit comment, but I also wanted to ask, is he the biggest bust in Red Wings history, period? That's a much more difficult question because the Wings have existed for a long, long time, and there were periods in that time where they probably had some other guys that were drafted and didn't really pan out. Is Filip Zadina, though, in terms of magnitude, the worst one of them all? Actually, when I think about it, yeah, the NHL Draft has only been around for a much shorter amount of time than the Wings have existed, so maybe it is appropriate to ask this, but either way, thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this British Ashroll 99, and bye.